Right, let's see, just see if everything's all good.
Right, let's see.
Okay, so hello guys and welcome to uh, VollGazzRacing Season 10 on MotoGP 23. I don't quite know why the sound is glitched. I'm guessing that's a glitch because I've had to disqualify myself to get into this view, so I guess there's no engine sound, so that's going to be quite distracting. Anyway, this is Season 10 pre-season for Division 1, no Division 2 for my side due to me um, finishing off the final Esports Pro Draft Challenge when the Division 2 guys were doing their pre-season test. Anyway, so we're here at the new track of India, where the F1 drivers went a few years ago. Currently nobody on a lap yet, but Craig, I believe, is the first rider out to start a flying lap into turn 1, hard on the brakes, 9-degree right-hander. When Craig having a massive slide on the front end using a hard front tyre, that seems to be the favoured race running tyre. And Joe is with us. Yeah, he disconnected, but touch as well. Ignore him being Fabio Quartararo on a Yamaha. He's meant to be on an Aprilia, but for some strange reason he could not select an RNF. Appears Miguel or Raul. So yeah, that's interesting. But anyway, Craig, Billy Ryder currently on a valid lap so far on the Prima Pramac Racing Ducati, the most successful team I believe in VollGazz. It won season 1. It won in season 6 and it won in season 7. Petronas Yamaha, I think they're second. They won 2 seasons in seasons 2 and 3 from memory. So let's see. Craig, usually he's on the Yamaha, but this year he has swapped over to the pink for the Pramac Ducati. As he comes up to the final hairpin, hard on the brakes. Round he goes now. Lap times I did on day 1 here was a 1:40. I've seen 38s being done by Tuquinho and Platt, so Craig will cross the line now. So 42.4. I have absolutely no idea how fast that is, but given I saw we made a mistake into turn 1, I presume that's just a fairly solid banker lap for now. Well, I assume that these first 15 minutes or so is going to be just embedding themselves into the track, into the conditions, making sure their settings feel good as Fadley hits the curb, and that is a crash that usually happens sometimes when you hit the curb at the wrong angle with the wrong input and touch. Going over the white line there, but just about holding it together. And he's wide, and that's invalidates his lap time, and he's at the curb as well, and there you go, the second rider of the day to do that, and he won't be the last, as that curb is lethal. As soon as you change direction, it diverts to the camera of the corner as well. There's something in the mechanics where you change direction and the front wants to fold, as Craig is lagging a tiny bit. This flicks it right round, this really long banked right-hander where you're holding on the gas for ages and ages and ages and ages. And then you fire it out, try not to wheelie too much. Obviously there's things you could do to the bike on this game to prevent that. And the setup I've found from this game to the previous game are definitely quite different, suspension and geometry wise. Usually, the last 2 years there's been a clear direction in the suspension, a clear direction in the rear, and a clear direction in the geometry. Some obviously from year to year there's small changes, but this year has been a massive change. No things are different. No things are the same, I should say. Maybe apart from the wet, maybe the wet's a bit more understanding compared to the previous games. I think they've got the wet pretty sorted this year, from what I could tell. I've not tried full wet conditions, but in the wet track we had, the settings I was running mostly made sense to my small amounts of mechanical knowledge. But here comes VTR on the Aprilia using Maverick Vinales' helmet from, I believe, Assen. And he comes across the line behind his teammate. Nelson goes first, and then VTR goes straight to the top. They're our current champion, but it will be interesting to see if he can hold on to that title this year. I'm not actually quite sure who's the strongest right out of these lot, because I haven't really been paying attention to how these guys have been doing, unfortunately. Been a bit caught up in my own stuff. But from what I've been told, the grid is quite close. You know, I remember one of them saying there's like 3 attempts covering the top 8 or something like that. So if we gain that every round, then hopefully we should be getting some good races, as Jack won't be setting a lap time due to an invalidation. The number 6. I won't be surprised if he changes to 12 or 50 halfway through the season like he usually does. We're currently running number 6 with the Jason DePasquier font at the top of the 6 in a sort of limeish green with a blue outline. So this long back straight, when you're in slipstream, you can easily get to about 360 kilometers an hour or 220 plus mile an hour. And braking while in the draft, that is a really big problem. So it's going to be key to understand your different braking points when you're in slipstream, when you're not in slipstream, because especially you got to change the way you brake, you got to change the way you shift, and you got to change everything just for these you know, if you go an extra 20 kilometers an hour faster, these things have a domino effect. As Jack goes through the chicane, he survives this time. And now into the long right-hander. I am really frustrated here that there is. We'll go with the. There's no. I thought there was going to be the shoulder cam, because you can get that in time trial replays, but I guess not. So we'll have to stick with the classic cockpit cam that I know we've been used to for the past few seasons. As Jack comes round to the final corner, is he going to box, or is he going to carry? He's going to carry on doing his race run. Something he needs to work on is track limits. Clearly, he's two laps on the bounce now, perhaps 3 with track limits warnings. You know, track limits is obviously a big problem in real life, and it will be interesting to see how bad track limits are here, assuming they do race. As far as across the line, and improves his time quite dramatically, but he's completely outbraked himself into turn 1. And Craig now is on an improved lap, running the Valentino Rossi 2016-17 helmet design. He always runs a Rossi helmet design no matter what bike he's on. You know, last year he was on a Repsol Honda, doing a Rossi design, which these days is extremely strange to see. But Craig goes to the top by 0.02 of a second, and it overshoots turn 1. And I believe that is VTR, who's just outshot himself through turn 1, or he's crashed. Oh, sorry, that was a VTR. That's proof for what mine was. But Jack Berman now, he's red sector 1. If I can find him on here. Here he is. Side having a bit of a slide. I don't know how Sai's got on, but last year Sai's biggest problem was crashing. He could have easily won season 9 last year. He quite clearly had the pace to win, but unfortunately during season 7 he crashed all the time. In season 8 he fixed his crashing. Then in season 9 he rediscovered his crashing form. So hopefully this year he can iron those mistakes out. As Joe, the lag master, his own words, he's washed this game. He doesn't know why. He seems to be quite competitive in wet conditions, but in the dry, something clearly just isn't going right. And him proving to be the lag master that he is in the south of England, he's dancing all over the show. I'd hate to be Fadley right now. It's bad enough Fadley living in Indonesia, and I think it is in Asia. So to have that in front of your screen is extremely off-putting. And Nelson, now the former 2-time champion of Season 1, Season 5, he'll be looking to become the first 3-time VollGazz champion. We've had 3 2-time champions in Deck, Nelson and Platt, so let's see if Nelson can become the first to win 3. There was 4 seasons of difference between his first 2 titles. If he wins this one, it'll be a 5-year difference, so 5-season difference. So it would make a lot of sense Here comes Nelson. He's into the final corner. He's 3 red sectors ahead against his former teammate from last season. Up to the line, and does he go to the top? Yes, he does by 1.1 seconds. A very solid lap time. A 40.3 for the Aprilia rider. As Jack now, the helicopter can be a little bit odd. It's not working as well as it has in the past couple of years, it seems. But yeah, this is something they might have to fix. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But Jack definitely having track limits issues in the third sector, particularly on the kink. So that is definitely something he's got to work on. The first round is Assen, I believe, from memory. So that should be interesting, especially given what I don't know what the rules are going to be on the last chicane, because you can cut the first part of the chicane. So I'm sure there'll be a consensus on that. I'd assume they'll go with the basis of try not to cut the chicane if you do penalise yourself or something like that, or they'll have to rely on me to remember to penalise them or something like that. But we'll see. There's Poof now going for the chicane very strangely, and he cuts the first part, and that is an invalidation for him. Let's see how Joe's doing. He is still lagging. Let's go on, Paul. What's it like to be Joe? Oh, this is prime. This is fantastic action here. Going sideways down the straight on the side of the tyre, on the side of the bike. And here we go into the hard braking zone. Doing a stoppie, another stoppie. Oh my lord. Oh my god, this is some Instagram reel stuff. This is hard on the brakes now into turn 5. You flip it up. Yeah, that's a perfect line. Perfect way to approach the corner. You're going sideways now into the chicane. Careful you don't hit the curb here, otherwise you will go down. And he survived. I thought he crashed there, but he actually survived through the long right hander now. And Jack is going to improve, so we'll switch to him. But that is some crazy stuff to be watching there. As Jack, I've missed it, but Jack has gone into second place. This is some fantastic action Joe's going to see there. And if we go up the hill into the final sector, he's actually looking quite normal now, turning right for the final right hand of the circuit. And now into the final corner, the tight left hand hairpin. Easily a corner that could be 1-1 lost in the race. Nice last corner, and up to the line. Not the first line like it should be, but it's going to be the second line. So if you have a fast motorcycle like a Ducati against the Yamaha, you have more chance of winning. And Joe, I don't quite know if isn't showing he set a lap time. I think he's lagged that badly that he's physically removed himself from the leaderboard, which is quite impressive, I have to say. But VTI, he's lost some time in the third sector. He seems to take a really tight line out the hairpin. He crossed the line and he goes into third place, 4 tenths off his teammate. So Nelson seems like he is the strongest rider at the moment. Sire matches the time of his fellow Aprilia rider. Sire on the RNF Aprilia, him being Malaysian, makes perfect sense to be with the Malaysian team. I'm sure Razlan will be looking for Sire to be champion once again, champion of season 6 against his teammate Nelson. That was a titanic battle all the way to the end. So Craig, Bradley, Toucham, Poof and Joe, wherever Joe may be, all out of the 1 second brackets a day. We'll have some time to find as Sire runs over the curb. That's going to halt your braking. That's going to cause lots of jolts in the suspension, and he has absolutely no choice but to go straight on. And here comes Joe again. Look at this action. I dread to think what's going to happen when I go onto the helicopter view. That's not bad. I mean, you know, you've got Top Rack. You know, he's doing stoppies and everything. This is next level. Absolute next level. Look at that, riding on the front. Oh my lord. So this really isn't a good test for Touch because he is on a Yamaha. He's meant to be on the Aprilia. I guess handling wise, it could be quite similar, but in terms of power delivery and stuff like, oh, his Fadley goes down really a bit wide there. But in terms of power delivery, the aero, all that kind of thing, it's going to be completely different with it being the only inline 4 engine in the class this year. So not an ideal situation for Touch. As Craig now is approaching Touch, and because of how big the wing is now these days, you can't actually see much in front of you on the wheel cam. I'll check Touch's point of view. Imagine it'd be a lot. Yeah, look, the wings have. Oh, and he's hit the grass and he's gone down. But the wheel cams are quite useless these days because the wings take up so much camera space, and we're nearly already halfway through the session. So Craig down the straight. He's 1.1 behind. He's just got to find just over a tenth to get into the 1 second bracket. Obviously, I don't know whether Nelson, Jack, BTR, or Sire have done qualifying simulations, race run simulations. You don't know these things. I think I remember seeing hard tyres on all their bikes, but hard front can be classified as a qualifying tyre this year if stability weighs over side grip, which this circuit may well could do given the vast majority of hard braking zones. As Craig has invalidated his lap time again, so invalidations seem to be a similar theme here. Excuse me. With Poof goes down, but this is a very similar theme. Lots of people seem to be exceeding track limits a lot here. Is Jack running a Homer Simpson donut helmet? That is very nice. Very creative. I don't know who made that, but whoever did, well done to you, because that is very nice with the Red Bull as well. Let's see if you can see the back of the helmet with the rear gyroscopic view. You just can't quite. As Jack now comes down the straight to start his next lap, holding the brakes. VTR in the pit entry. That might have caught Jack's eye line. No, he's done turn 1 very well there. Through turn 2, he's choosing not to go on the curb, and now he changes direction for turn 3. Uphill blind hairpin bend, and they set the bike up. That wasn't, I could tell it wasn't the greatest of exits. He sort of sat the bike up a bit too early. But it does mean he didn't hit the outside curb, but it does mean he did wheelie a bit, so that has lost him a bit of drive anyway. Now into the hard braking zone of turn 4. The exit here is really crucial. Down the hill, and it's a great sector 1. I'm not surprised by that at all. Now here you can, I think the line here is to run on the curb. Probably in the race you don't want to risk that, but in qualifying it's probably when you finish your banker that's probably the line you'll be opting for. And he's gone down at the chicane. Claims another victim. Izzy Nelson, I think that is a hard front tyre for him. Yes, it is. So they're probably running the hard front. So I think in terms of races, any rider who prefers the stability in braking in general, in that sort of sense, and instead of the bike moving a little bit, I think they're the ones who will probably benefit the most from this year. So maybe people like, I mean, Howling, if he was racing, I'm not sure, I don't think he is, but someone like Howling, he probably would benefit quite a lot because he makes a lot of his time up in braking, and the hard front is with the amount of margin you can take in braking zones with the hard front. It would definitely suit him very well, I'd imagine, this game. Maybe not in qualifying form, but in race form, I have no doubt. The Sire now is improving in the second sector. We can find him. There he is. And he's kicked up some dust out that turn. I don't know the corner names, unfortunately. I could probably count in my head, but it would take too long by the time I figured that out. So I probably would have finished the lap. But he is currently grey in the third sector. Can he find any time in the final one? Hard braking into the hairpin. Last year we'd see Sire do a very strange tactic, and he'd set like red sectors or personal best sectors and then completely back off in the last sector and go again. And he would do that for multiple laps in a row, so hopefully that qualifying strategy has come to an end. His touch is improving. Let's see what the American can do. The sole American this year in Division 1, to my understanding, and he improves just by a few thousandths of a second there. Nothing too dramatic as Fadley now comes up to the line and should improve. He does. He moves in the 2 second window. Apparently, I've been told if I leave the session and rejoin, I can hear some engine sounds. If this breaks, this is not my fault. Because I'm assuming there's no race direction mode this year, so it sort of caused a problem. For now, let's see what happens when I rejoin the lobby. Will we get some engine sounds? I don't think this has quite worked. So now the way I have to do is I have to go backwards, but I don't want to get in anyone's way. This has not worked out as I hoped it would. Right. Right, there we go. Got myself disqualified. Hopefully I don't get into anyone's way. I have not. There we go. We got some engine sounds, so thanks to Jack for that. And Joe was reinstated into the leaderboards as well, even better. So, Proof yet to set a lap time, but here he comes up to the final corner, the Portuguese rider. So, one would assume his favourite rider is Miguel Oliveira, as he comes up to the line, and he goes into 6th place, 7/10 off. And in the meantime, Craig has improved his time, and is now just over 7.5 off the first position time of Nelson, with 18.5 minutes remaining of the session. Let's see where Nelson is. He is on an... Let's see, is he on an out lap or is he on an actual lap? We'll find out in a few seconds time when he crosses the first sector point. He is on an out lap. Is Jack on an out lap? Yeah, I think most people probably are on out laps at this point. So we'll go on the cockpit view, and hopefully Sire, if he makes the turn for the final corner, we can go on board with him for full lap. So there's a lap of the Indian circuit from Sire, as Craig now looks to improve his lap time. Touchable improved during that lap there, as Craig now up to the line, and he closes the gap. Gains just over 0.3 of a second on that lap. Good. Or it was 3. I'm not sure, but 0.3 at least. It's a good work there by Craig. He has not got the hard front, so I believe that was some form of qualifying simulation. It's Joe now, who has stopped lagging, it seems, is improving his lap time. Suzuki VR46, probably the best team so far this season in real life, maybe apart from Pramac and the Factory Ducati team. Those three have definitely been the standouts this season so far. All three taking victories. Joe crosses the line, he improves his time by 0.3 seconds, but the man on a charge right now is VTO, the current champion. He stayed with an Italian factory, however he switched from Ducati to Aprilia. And it's a red third sector. Red sectors popping up for all the top three. As VTO comes up to the final sector, final corner even. How does he take the final corner? Does he take it tight like we see? Yes, he does. I'll have to ask him about why he does that, because to me that seems odd. And he's lost time in the final sector. I'd be convinced that it's how he's taking that hairpin. Let's see how Nelson takes it. The normal way in my mind is you hit the apex and you go to the outside curve, but you don't hit it. But Nelson also takes the title. Maybe I'm missing something here. Yeah, see, Jack's taking the natural line I'd expect. And if he goes up to the line, and it's first position of 39.9 for Jack Berman. Never won a championship. I believe his highest is second place. I could be wrong about that, but I believe he's finished second Division 1 before. So it was him in the battle of Suzuki between him and VTR, and I cannot remember for the life of me which one was strong. I definitely remember VTR won the race, but I've gone with Jack, and it still beat him on consistency in that season. Let's see if Poof is on a hot lap currently. He was improving in Sector 1, but he has lost it. And he's completely blown the penultimate corner. And obviously he does not improve on his lap time. So Touch, I've just noticed, is on a PB lap into the final corner as Fabio Quartararo. He won't have any settings as well, I've just remembered that, so he will be struggling. But he doesn't. He's doing all right. 2.3 seconds off. I obviously won't be happy with that, I'd imagine. But given this is probably his first time on the Yamaha and stuff like this, he's not probably got the right riding style and all these kind of things. I think if he can just improve throughout the session, I think that's enough for him at this stage. Grey sectors are plenty for most riders, apart from Touch though. Unfortunately, Touch has fell victim to the chicane, like many others, as Craig is slowing down, I presume he's either ran out of fuel or cooling off his tyre, something like that. And Sire has invalidated his lap. VTR also runs off the track. Joe, the lag master, doing well. He's doing well. You know what? We'll go on board with Joe once again. But this time we got game sound. Let's see what the engine sounds like during all this chaos. And that is the second half of the lap for Joe as he's DC'd. Well, what a great way to end the session. Unless he's still actually... Yeah, he's gone, okay. But Craig, he is improving. Mr. Top 5, currently inside the top 5. You can always bank Craig. If nothing's going wrong, he'll be the one that's consistently inside that top 5 no matter what's happened during that race. Unfortunately, they go away from him last season, and they were factors that weren't really his fault. But so far, Jack remains on top. I don't know whether Nelson's is on a lap or not, but we'll see. It's a great sector 1 for Nelson, and he's messed up the chicane big time, and he's accepted it, and he's gone straight on, opting not to crash, saving lap time, saving time in the session. Vettel going in the pit lane to start his next lap. Hard on the brakes into turn 1. And he's got the soft front end on the medium front. I can't quite tell which front tyre that is. I'd imagine it's the soft, and he's invalidated it. See proof he is improving. 1.1 seconds off. And Fadley's improving as well. So we'll go with Fadley. He's renowned for his terrible qualifying, hardly ever turning up to the session because of his sleeping pattern, given he lives in Indonesia. But then he has the capabilities of turning up. He'll be last on the grid, and then he'll come and win the race or get a podium out of nowhere. So don't be surprised if that is exactly what happens this year. But it seems like Fadley has improved his sleeping pattern. I don't know how, but it seems something he's done very well, as Nelson is improving in the second sector. Nice line, but he has kicked up some dust, and that has cost him lap time. But he is on the hard front. I don't know whether this is the problem. I don't know what tyres people prefer for their qualifying stints. As VTR, I'd imagine, yeah, he's going again. VTR sideways into turn 4. No wheelies or any such problems, but it is a grey sector 1. Look at him sideways again into the braking zone for turn 5, and he is actually quite well. And now goes into the chicane for turns 6 and 7. And he's going to stay on the bike staying really stable through the chicane. But it's another grey sector, and he's got Fadley in front of him, potentially holding him up, as Sire now looks to improve as he approaches the final sector. Hard braking on the side of the tyre, hard on the gas, sets the bike up a tiny bit of wheelie there, using the ride-out device. Up to the line, how much time does he gain? He gains about just under half a second to go into second place for now. Nelson once again is improving. As he now chucks it into the left. Nice. That was a very nice section by Nelson. Running over the cover a little bit though, so that's going to cause some spinning, and he has outbraked himself. It's this long right hander that's going to cost him a lot of time, and I don't think he's going to improve, but we'll wait and see. Yeah, okay, into the pit lane, yeah, I'm sure he meant that. All part of the plan. As everyone, I believe, is boxing or has just come out pit lane. Yeah, one thing you can definitely take from this session: track limits is a problem. As we now get into the final laps of the session, only one or two more for the riders. Hard braking into turn 1. Oh, that was a lovely line by Sire there. Nicely cutting the curb. He swings the Aprilia around for a late apex, fires it out down the back straight. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a kilometre plus straight. Hard on the brakes, sliding the rear into turn 4. He's not hit the curb, but he's got a nice exit anyway, so I don't think it'll be too much run. He is PB. Running over the curb there as well, cutting some time. Craig did set a red sector 1, but he's lost it, so I don't know how he stands in terms of crossing the lines. It's going to be quite tight for him, I believe. So he's lost time in that second sector. Can he gain it back in the third? Given that line, I'd say no, but you never know. Yeah, this lap's a write-off for Sire, unfortunately. We'll have one more go, though. It is Craig Rapp. Craig, if the line was in the right place, I'd say he would have made it, but he's not. So this is going to be everyone's last laps of the session. Owen Fadley goes down at the penultimate corner. Touch is improving in the third sector. Fadley, I think that's an autopilot, I'm not sure. That definitely would have distracted Touch. But does he improve? He does. Craig has left the session. I don't know what's going on here. Just VTR and Sire will have to finish their laps. VTR into the final corner. And across the line, and he improves. So we have it, Jack Berman in first place, ahead of Sire in second, Nelson third, BTR fourth, Poof fifth, Bradley sixth, Touch seventh, Joe eighth, and myself in ninth, despite the fact not actually doing anything. So that was the pre-season test. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you guys for round 1 whenever the race direction mode is added to the game. So goodbye.